going on, Bengals fans? Happy New Year's Eve to you guys. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about what needs to happen for the Cincinnati Bengals to get into the postseason. I know all what you're thinking. Well, we know what needs to happen, Stone. There's three things that need to happen. We all know. That doesn't mean we can't talk about it. That's what we're going to do coming up on today's edition of Bengals Breakdown. Three things that need to happen, three games that we will be talking about, and we'll see. Could very well be the Bengals' last game of the season on Saturday in Pittsburgh against the Steelers. But fingers crossed, hopefully not. Before we get into that, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you have not done so already. Big shout out to you guys for helping us hit that 15K subscriber mark yesterday. Now over 15,000 subs. What's that mean? Means the road to 16K begins now. So help us out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/BengalsTV. We, of course, will be live for the Steeler game. And, of course, if there are subsequent playoff games to follow, we will be live for that. But the offseason certainly is an exciting time as well. We can talk draft. We can talk free agency. All of that right here on Bengals Breakdown. Here is what Cincinnati needs. First up, obviously, they need to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers on Saturday. The last time you played Pittsburgh, it really was a crazy game. Your offense looked spectacular once again. A couple of turnovers at inopportune times late in the game that ultimately was the difference because your defense couldn't stop a nosebleed in that game. But ever since you played Pittsburgh, what was that, 5 weeks ago? Your defense has really come along, albeit against weaker competition. So hopefully the defense can kind of build off some of the things that they have done in previous weeks this time around against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is limping into the postseason as they seemingly always do under Mike Tomlin, right? Everybody says, oh, Mike Tomlin, another winning season. That's great, but then they limp into the playoffs and lose in the first round. And, obviously I am a bit of a Steeler hater as a Bengals fan, but as my prediction, that's what's going to happen again here in 2024/2025 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Got beat up bad on Christmas Day against the Kansas City Chiefs. They do have that 6th seed at least clinched. This is what needs to happen for Pittsburgh to win the AFC North. They obviously need to beat Cincinnati, but they also need a Ravens loss against the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if you guys have watched the Cleveland Browns at all, but they absolutely stink. I was watching that game that they played last week, trying to get a victory over the Miami Dolphins, help the Cincinnati Bengals out, and they just didn't have a prayer, even against Snoop Huntley for the Miami Dolphins. We'll talk about Miami a little bit later on. But interesting to note that this this Ravens-Browns game is right before the Bengals game on Saturday. So if the Ravens win that game, you might be thinking, if you're Mike Tomlin, I might rest some of these starters, right? Well, probably not. A couple of reasons why. This is what Mark Caboli, sorry if I mispronounced that name, said. Tomlin said he hasn't thought about not playing people if the Ravens win earlier in the day, said it might be something he thinks about later, but doesn't anticipate he would go down that street. I just feel like it's a little bit late in the game for something like that to happen, because the game for the Ravens would essentially be wrapping up, and it would be time for you to start your game. So it's kind of too late to make that kind of a change, I guess. But I don't expect the Ravens to be able to lose to the Cleveland Browns. I would be shocked if that were to happen. But Mike Tomlin also made the point, you don't want to limp into the playoffs like this. You want to get some positive momentum against a good team in the Cincinnati Bengals. So I would expect Pittsburgh to be at full force come Saturday night. Leads us to the pinned comment of today's video. Who you got? Type B for the Cincinnati Bengals or S for the Pittsburgh Steelers? You think Cincinnati's going to finish this solid end to the season with a victory? Let me know in the comment section. If that ad comes here on YouTube, totally fine. Take advantage of it. Get down in the comments. Let us know what you think. All right, here's the second thing that needs to happen for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Jets need to beat the Miami Dolphins. Now, as of filming, we still don't know about what is going on with Tua Tagovailoa. There's a very good chance that it might be Snoop Huntley again at quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. Also of note, Aaron Rodgers got benched at the end of that Jets game last week, and Tyrod Taylor came in. So who knows what is going on in New York. The fact that we need to lean on the Jets kind of stinks because they are just an absolute dumpster fire of an organization. They really have been for seemingly my whole life, besides the Mark Sanchez fluke years where they were able to get the AFC Conference titles. But I digress. Regardless, this is a pretty close game per Vegas. Dolphins only 1-point favorites as of filming right now. Certainly the availability of Tua Tagovailoa, something to monitor closely for us Bengals fans. Here's what Adam Schefter had to say about Tua. He said, I don't think it's a lock he plays this week. I think the status is in question. That hip was more banged up last week than people realize. Now, it doesn't take a genius to tell you that this Miami Dolphins offense completely different with Tua compared to really any other quarterback. And I think you saw that last week against Cleveland. It was a lot of just runs, and in that game, it looked like Cleveland really wasn't trying to win the game. If anything, we're trying to lose the football game. So you got to rely on this New York Jets football team. Again, totally different if Tua is out there or if he's not out there. Obviously, you would never root for injury. I'm a Tua guy, Alabama supporter personally. I love Tua Tagovailoa, but would be beneficial for the Bengals if he didn't go in this one. This is what the Jets have done of late. Just a mess, right? I mean, the past couple of weeks, getting absolutely blown out by the Buffalo Bills. Aaron Rodgers gets benched, only muster up 9 points against the Rams. You're able to beat the lowly Jacksonville Jaguars. Last time you played Miami, though, it was a loss in overtime. Maybe a potential revenge game here for the Jets. They come out fired up, trying to end the season on a high note. Certainly would be beneficial for the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll continue with our show here in a moment. But first, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy. So your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. Basketball season is heating up, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. They also have the Flex Play. Really encourage you guys to check out the Flex Play. This is what we threw together here at our Chat Sports offices. I believe Jack Lauderay threw this one together. He's got the more than on Stovall, Arizona State wide receiver, his receiving yards. Also for Bill Howard going with the more than on his passing yards. And then Carnell Tate anytime touchdown as well for the Ohio State Buckeyes. The beautiful thing about the Flex Play, you don't have to get all 3 of those right. You can still miss one and have an opportunity to double your money. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. It's Prize Picks. Run your game. Here is the third thing that needs to happen for the Cincinnati Bengals to get into the playoffs. This one might be the most difficult of the 3. Believe it or not, it's the Kansas City Chiefs that need to beat the Denver Broncos. Now, if the Chiefs were playing their starters, which again, it doesn't seem like they're going to be playing their starters, I wouldn't be worried about this leg at all. But unfortunately, the Chiefs have that number 1 seed wrapped up. Really, the only thing for them to play for at this point is pride, trying to go through a regular season with only 1 loss, which definitely would be historic. But let's be honest. If you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you don't want to see the Cincinnati Bengals. They would never come out publicly and admit that. But look, I think they would probably rather have a division rival in the Denver Broncos get in than have to worry about Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals because, of course, they are going after that three-peat. Would be the first ever in NFL history. I don't know if teams actually think that way. I really don't. I know social media likes to blow up and say those kinds of things. If I'm Andy Reid, I'm still coaching to win, right? You want to have a one-loss season and then win 3 Super Bowls in a row, like nobody can top that as a potential argument. Like this would be the greatest season of all time if they're able to pull this off, despite the fact that they have gotten so lucky in so many games. The numbers speak for themselves if they're able to, take care of Denver and then ultimately win the Super Bowl. But as you can see there, Denver currently 9.5-point favorites. Very ironic that the Bengals are going to be cheering so hard for the Kansas City Chiefs. We will see what happens. I do have some peace with the fact that Andy Reid's still going to be the head coach, so I would be shocked to see the Chiefs purposely throw this game, but it is on the road against a very, very hungry Denver Broncos team that is trying to clinch a playoff berth. We'll see what happens. I have a feeling that this might be the one leg that ends up costing the Cincinnati Bengals. Let me know in the comments section. Another opportunity for you guys to get involved. Type K for the Kansas City Chiefs or D for the Denver Broncos. Let me know who you have in that AFC West Week 18 matchup. Kind of going back to Kansas City here. We're hoping that either the Texans or the Steelers were able to knock them off at the end of the year. Kansas City looks really, really good right now. I know people don't like it or whatever, but they know how to win football games. And if it's late or if it's close late against these guys, they just have that championship DNA and they know how to beat you. So we'll see who plays and who doesn't for Kansas City. You're not going to see Mahomes. You're not going to see Kelsey. You're not going to see, Pacheco or any of those Chris Jones, any of those big guys like that. We'll see if some of the lower-end starters do make an appearance. Hopefully they try to win. I think it would be pretty soft if they just went out there and said, oh, we're going to throw this game because we're scared of the Bengals. That would be incredibly soft, and that would be a major knock and could serve as a lot of fuel for the Bengals in this offseason for next time they see the Kansas City Chiefs. So let me be very clear about that. If they go running from the Cincinnati Bengals and purposely throw this game, I'm going to have a lot more animosity towards this football team, but I don't think Andy Reid will do that. I think if it comes down to it at the end of the game, he's going to try to win. But I guess we will all find out together on Sunday. As for Denver, we've talked about them a lot. You took care of business last week in what was a crazy game, obviously. And in my opinion, really the most fun game that we have seen this season in the NFL. Was absolutely awesome. They've had now a couple of opportunities in the row to clinch the playoffs. Haven't been able to get it done. Sean Payton's going to have these guys locked in, and they're going to be ready to play their best football. So Cincinnati definitely needs a break, hoping to pull off an upset essentially as 9.5-point dogs, because we are all members of the Kansas City Chiefs fans on Sunday. Make sure you guys give me a follow over on Twitter at StoneShields_. All of our Bengals Breakdown content will be posted to my Twitter page. You'll also see some YouTube shorts up there these days as well. Of course, all the injury updates from the beat reporters additionally. So help me out. Give me a follow over on Twitter at StoneShields_.